It's Pete from Cheap Homesteading, and I wanted to do a little bit of an update on my homemade dust collection blower project. Last time we took the Billygoat debris loader and I welded it up and I put in some pulleys and I installed the motor, and I had it all ready to go and I plugged it in and it kept blowing the breaker and it would barely run the blower. So I've been fiddling around with it a little bit, and it turns out that the person that had the motor before wired it for 220, but they wired it through a 110 plug. So when you plugged it in, it didn't have any power and it kept blowing the breaker. So I figured that out and I wired up a 220 plug. As soon as I plugged it in, it fired up right away. So I was super happy with that and I wanted to show you. Before, I could barely turn over the fan. But as soon as I wired it 220, it doesn't even attempt to have a problem. And I'll turn it on. So it works really good, but it's loud. I don't know how many CFM this thing pulls, but it really does haul. It was absolutely the perfect choice for my shop's dust collector. It moves a ton of air, so I'm pretty happy with it. So now that I got this working, I would have ended up painting it, but it's way too cold in the shop. The paint won't dry properly. So we're gonna have to wait till at least it gets a little bit warmer out before we can paint it and make it look nice. There's a lot to do in the shop before I can even really hook this thing up. So the first hurdle was getting this thing running. The next one is getting the shop ready. And when I start to install this, I'm going to have to make plates, possibly do a little bit of welding. I should have welded that. I just saw that was cracking. But just sure it up, make a plate so I can hook a 4-inch pipe into it. And we got to make a dust filtration system for the output. But this thing is working absolutely awesome. Eventually I'm going to cut the shaft off, but I don't want to cut it off at the moment because I don't know, I might end up running another motor or something off it. We're going to hold off with that for a little bit, but otherwise the homemade dust collection blower is completed, except some cosmetic things, but otherwise it is finished. And for all the modifications I've done to this thing, it really doesn't vibrate that much. It barely vibrates at all, so I'm pretty happy with that. Everything is running really smoothly. It's far exceeded my expectations for a homemade dust collector blower. This thing is a beast, and it really should be able to keep up with my huge B-box joint cutter. That is the whole reason why I decided to make one so big. There should be no issue with this. I can't imagine this thing having a problem. This thing pumps a ton of air. I don't know how many CFM this thing does, but it really does move a ton of air. We're gonna make a cyclone, like a really large cyclone for my garage. I'm feeling like I have to move everything around the garage and find better locations for stuff before I start running dust collection. Because I don't think I'm maximizing the space I have. I have tools everywhere and they're kind of in different locations, and I think this is a big space and I'm blessed to have a big garage, but I'm not using it to its full potential because I do need a space to fix stuff and I still need a space to be able to make my bee equipment. And right now the bee equipment portion is kind of encroaching on the whole shop. The shop is really good size. There's no reason I can't have a good repair shop and a good wood shop here. There is enough room for sure. So in the next little bit, we're going to redesign the shop, move some tools around, and then after that, we're going to start making the rest of our dust collection system. So you guys have good